Okay, I think I have it. And we will see if the audio is working, and I will dock the chat so I can actually see what people are doing here. There's got to be a better way. Oh, there is a better way. Look at that. Anyhow, um, hopefully it's going out and going live, and if it's not, well, I can see myself and I can see the audio vibes pumping down at the bottom here. Excellent. Thank you, RK. So, hi, RK. Hi, Joshua. Good morning. Good morning? Really? Good morning? Feels like it's been a long day. So yeah, the sun is shining above my head, and the lamp is on behind me, and I didn't have time to go shut it off. And if my husband's watching this in the other room, he could come in here and turn it off for me. I'll try to keep my head so that the other lamp isn't a problem, but we'll see. Anyhow, it's definitely 5 o'clock somewhere. Probably 5 a.m. somewhere. This is also true. That's weird. It's like cutting off the last line of the chat. I have no idea. Yeah, no, I figured it was the lamp, Mom. I'm just so weird. Anyhow. So, it's been an interesting week. So those of you who are joining me from last week, where I was in the pits of doom and gloom about stuff, it's been a momentous week. I have... the story is still going, RK. I was doing writing sprints just before I started the live stream, and once I'm done talking to you all, I will be going to... I will be going back to writing. I'm at 5,300 words, and I'm in the final scenes, and then I'll have to write a climax and come up with a satisfactory ending. So maybe another 1,500 words. Trying to keep this short story relatively short. It needs to be under 8,000 words. So we'll see what I can come up with, but I will turn it in, even if it's on the nick of time, and if I have to stay up and then sleep in tomorrow, which will make Mad Genius interesting. But one thing at a time. I am an adrenaline junkie. I always have been, so it's not too shocking that I'm trying to figure out how to make this so the lamp is not a problem. But yeah. Pretend it's my halo. Oh no, I've never had a halo. So hopefully moving the microphone is better for Doug. We'll see. And so yeah, I'm a little excited. I'm a little jazzed. It's been that kind of week, and I was in full flow writing just like 5 minutes ago. And so those of you that have read Robert Heinlein's Glory Road are familiar with the concept of the phoenix egg. For me, writing is very much about hatching the phoenix egg. If I can do that, and I can absorb the story and get it to the point where I'm basically channeling the story, and it's very much like the phoenix egg is described as star. My husband is going to distract me today and be my part of my peanut gallery in the other room. You could come turn off the lamp, dear. And I have summoned him, behold. Not that lamp. No, don't turn it off that way, because it's plugged in and it won't charge. I need it turned off there. So the phoenix egg is pretty much my writing process, because I have to be able to get in the story, get my head in it. And doing that when I am distracted and stressed and life is going on around me in fits and starts and hiccups, is really, really difficult. And I've tried over the years to get disciplined about being able to write at any time I have a spare minute or two. And there have been times that I have been like that I have been enough in the headspace, enough in the story that I could just switch over and write at the drop of a hat. This last year has been really difficult for me. I'm so far out of my storylines that getting into story has been like wringing blood from a stone. I wrote a story. It's actually about a phoenix, and I wrote the Phoenix Egg for Jim Curtis's anthology, Tales from the Supper Table Part 2. So if you haven't read that anthology and you want to see what I've managed to produce this last year, it was a loving homage to H. Rider Haggard, and Glory Road a little bit, although you might have to squint to see that. But writing this story has been, well, okay, I kept wanting to dive both feet, plunge into the rabbit hole research because Malta is fascinating and there's so much and I've barely skimmed the surface and I wanted to go deeper. But I've pulled myself back and been like, okay, what do you have in your head already that you can use to put into this story? And what I came up with, Sanford's shirt is red, Joshua, since I think I just finally figured out how to see the most current comments. It's just the lighting makes it look pink. Although, the man will wear pink. He has no shame. His favorite t-shirt for a long time was a purple shirt with the saying of it on it of, I do very bad things and I do them very well. So what I went with on this story for the Malta anthology was espionage. And actually, RK helped with that because her story is set during World War II era, and I'm writing a companion piece. Hey, Farm Girl, glad to see you. So this story for the Malta anthology follows a few years after RK's story, but there's some crossover items, shall we say. At least one ghost cat, even though Ian did say it didn't have to have ghosts in it. This one has a ghost cat. And a little bit of character overlap going on there. So, yeah, it was really fun, and I actually was kind of stuck on it, and RK sent me what she had, and I was like, ooh, that works. I've been doing so much research into the Cold War espionage for a novel that I need to get back to writing. I started writing a while back. And I'm like, okay, that I can pull that right out of my brain. I already have that in there. And so it's gelling at this point. It's gelling. It'll get there. And yeah, I'm way too much of an adrenaline junkie. Bad cedar. But it's okay because I'm getting there. I'm excited about it. And I got really good news. And this week, so I was talking about the roller coaster. And as a matter of fact, I blogged about being on a roller coaster. And this week was definitely a buckle up buttercup moment because we've gone from my work is closing, my job is closing. Okay, all right, I've been given pre-notice, I need to start job hunting. I start job hunting like mad. About 4 weeks later, I go up to my boss and I'm like, hey boss, when's the last day of work? And she's like, what? Wait, you're leaving? When are you leaving? And I'm like, you said I was done at the end of February. And I was like, so when's my last day? And she's like, can we keep that open-ended for right now? And so all this last week, I have been going in and thinking every day that she was going to say, all right, this is it, we're done. And I had been job hunting like crazy, and I had gotten Wednesday, I got a rejection, a very, very highly personal, lots of good feedback rejection, turned down from 2 positions I had applied to. And that one really hit me, made me realize that my reach had exceeded my grasp. I had gotten to a point where I was no longer going to be able to do what I wanted to do. And that one really hit me. And also, in and around this time, the boss has gone from, we're closing, to, well, we might not close. We're trying to find another facility and move into that and lower costs. But I was kind of shut out of those decisions. It was the boss and a couple other members of the team that were involved in those. And there's been a few times in the last couple of weeks where I was getting like half of the conversation and she was getting a little upset at me for not having been part of the first half of the conversation. So that was annoying, but tolerable because I know she's up to her elbows in alligators. So Thursday, after work, I get home and I get a phone call and I get an offer for a job. And the job is 100% work from home, completely remote. It's a contract position, but that's okay. I will be a technical writer, and I landed the job through having been a bench scientist, being familiar with the ecosystem I'll be working in, and I'm a writer. So all of those things added up to Thursday night when I accepted that offer. It was like a huge weight came off my shoulders. And also, Thursday night, we finally got through yet another hoop that the seller on the house that we wanted was holding up, and we finally stepped back, took stock, and said, no more hoops. We're not doing this. Because if we jump through this one, there's going to be another one, and there's going to be another one. So no more hoops. We're letting this house go. And no money out of pocket, because he never even accepted our offer. He kept coming back with things that he wanted us to do, this, that, and the other way. And so, yeah, it's been a roller coaster week. I landed a job that will let us live wherever we want to live, which, by the way, is in Texas. I had friends being like, move here. And I'm like, sorry, guys. Both my girls are here in Texas, and we really like Texas. We have a lot of friends here. We have a good support group here. Now, what this does allow us to do is get the heck out of Dodge or Dallas, which I don't know what living in Dodge would be like, but I definitely don't want to live in Dallas anymore. Oh. Don't move there, koala. Well, we were talking about if we'd had some time off in between jobs, which we don't, coming out to visit y'all, because I'd really like to check out the Rattlesnake Museum. But once the new job shakes out, it may allow for more travel. May, I say, because I don't know yet for sure, but I think this is going to be a Eastern Time Zone core hours attendance job. And so as long as I have access to decent internet and I'm not like actively traveling during work time, there's probably no reason we shouldn't be able to mosey around the country doing some visiting. And that's definitely been, we were sitting there this morning going, well, we could go here and we could go there and we could go the other place. And then we're like, well, okay, those are all in like completely different directions. So one thing or another. The house hunt is back on. And at this point, we also have time. That's what landing this job gives us, is time. We don't have to stress about the employment situation. We're locked into the lease here until mid-June. And if we get a house that doesn't require quite as much work as the other house we were looking at, then it'll be less stress as far as getting the move dealt with and done. And it's going to be an interesting month or so getting transitioned and settled. I've done the traditional 2 weeks notice and let my boss know. In fact, she and I sat down and had a long conversation about this afternoon, finally. I mean, I practically had to pin her to the wall to give her my notice yesterday. But no, we're not checking out the funky house in Bowie, Mom, because Bowie. Let me pronounce that correctly. It's Bowie, and it's in Montague County, we have been told. The house in Bowie has structural issues. And while I think the painted rooms in the castle and the tentacles coiling up and around the toilet are just absolutely the bomb, I do not want to have a house where I'm having to replace walls and the roof and putting in AC units, because that one's all window ACs. So, getting distracted by the comments. Snake zoos are always fun. I really enjoy a good reptile exhibit, and a two-headed taxidermied calf is definitely calling my name. I would love to do some travel and see museums and see people, and I like people. Yes, I can paint my own tentacle monsters, and may, just to the horror of my husband. um so yeah, no, it's been good. It's been a roller coaster of a week. And when my boss and I did finally sit down today and have a chat about the plan going forward, next week I'll be busy. But the week after that, I may not be. I may be done at that point. Because if we wrap up the projects that I need to get wrapped, and I have documentation in order so that a transition can be made, and as my boss told me this afternoon, she may be able to make this work, and the numbers may not work. The company may still go under. And honestly, that would be sad. I mean, I would be unhappy because I did a spreadsheet for her, and I have invented over 30 formulas in the months that I've been working there. None of them have yet gone to commercial production, and if the company goes under, they probably never will. And that kind of makes me sad because I did some good stuff and I like it, but these things happen. I mean, my books, I was thinking about this the other day, between 10 novels and a couple of dozen short stories, I have 1 million words in print. And that, I'd not really done the math on that before, and I was thinking about it, and I'm just kind of like, dang, I have a lot of words out there, and I still have more words to go. I've got 4, 5 novels significantly in progress at this point. And I really need to figure out how to focus on just one and get it done. The part-time question has been floated, and if the move happens, then that may be something that happens, is that I come back on part-time in order to transition some of my formulas, some of the formulas that I've been spending the last few months working on, So that's a possibility. The problem there is, and as I pointed out to my boss, I'd only be available nights and weekends. And there's only so many of those I want to work to. I do not want to work 7 days a week. This is why I retired from the performing gig when I graduated from college, was so that I wouldn't be doing a day job 5 days a week plus performing every weekend. I mean, I've been pushing the line for years now, doing the writing and art part-time after work. I come home from work most days and put in 2 or 3 hours. And that doesn't leave a lot of time for my family, which I'm aware of, very aware of. And there's been times when I wanted to knock back and say, okay, I'm not writing anymore until I retire. But there's also been times when we kind of needed the writing income. The last year or so, the writing income has been paying for the kid's school, since he hasn't been in public school, so it's been an out-of-pocket cost. And with taking community college courses, a pretty significant out-of-pocket cost. But I've been able to pay for it with the writing. And, I mean, the writing capitalizes the writing. Yeah, no, Bloggerado is specifically invitation. I'm aware of that. That's not something that's on my radar. Just to reassure Dawn and let Josh know, I'm aware. But the new job actually pays more than my current position. So for a 100% work from home remote position, that's actually kind of amazing. It has drawbacks. So it's a contract position. It has health bennies, which is good. It does not have PTO, because the idea is that since you're working from home, you can either arrange around it, or you're making enough to be able to take the occasional day off. So it'll be another couple of years before we have a significant vacation. Not that we've had a significant vacation for quite a while, but it is what it is. 'Tis the life of, yes, this. Whatever it is that I am. And, I mean, it is a contract, so eventually it'll come up, and then I will have to figure out what the next step is, but that's a couple years down the road, and I am not going to worry about that tonight. So the next step is transition into the new job, figure out what I'm doing with the old job, if I'm going to stay on and help them transition. Hey, Johan, aren't you at work, kid? So, and the steps after that are, we're still looking for a house. We're working with a really fantastic realtor. Friend recommended her to us, and she gets us. I sent her an email as the other house was falling through, and we knew it was kind of in free fall. We just had to make the decision to cut and run. But I sent her an email, and I'm like, look, I'm a giant geek, but I have a spreadsheet. Would you like this? And I sent it to her, and she came back in all caps with, I love this. So, my dude, after work today, I had to go pee in a cup. And I had not eaten lunch because I was under pressure to get a project done at work. So I stopped and I got McDonald's without you. Yes, it's a thing. So, oh yeah, no, JD, Wampus Cat is JD. Pretty sure you're JD. I could, now that I think about it, Wampus Cat, always assume the contract will end tomorrow. Yes, it's at will employment. They could end this at any moment. I could end it at any moment. There's no locked in. And if that happens, then I'm looking for a job again. I have a couple of other leads. So if I had to revive it, I would go to them. And I have one employer that would like to have me back. I just didn't want to go do the job again because it would be hybrid second shifts and I'd never have another Saturday off for the rest of my career. So I had turned that one down, but I know they'd like to have me back because they have trouble keeping people in that position. In fact, I left that position. That's why I didn't want to go back, because I didn't want to leave them shorthanded again. Yes, peeing in the cup is annoying. I was actually telling the gal as she was prepping things for me that when I went back into the workforce a little over a decade ago, prior to that, peeing in a cup just wasn't the thing. I mean, I'm sure it was done, but it wasn't done to everybody. But now it's done everybody for any job, even work from home writing job. I have to go pee in a cup. No, I can't do no Saturdays off and have a writing career. I have to be able to go to conventions. As a matter of fact, I will be going to Fantasy later this month. And then I will be going to TulCon in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And that one is, I believe, the end of April. I'm not sure 100% of the dates. Sanford and I will be at TulCon. At Fantasy, I will be there. It's in North Carolina, and I will actually be there with my dad. And it'll be his first science fiction convention. So that'll actually be a blast. I'm formally a guest at Fantasy, and as a guest, I get a free badge and I get a +1 badge. So Dad is my +1, which is fun. And so that's already set up and booked. The new job is aware that I'll have that the 24th and the 25th. I'll take off. So that'll make training interesting. I actually offered the new job for me not to start until the 28th in order to allow for that, but they wanted to go ahead with the 21st, so it's good. I occasionally drink. My son brings me drinks these days, which is just strange, but that's neither here nor there. I have never done drugs. I've never had the slightest urge, and so I've never been offered money for mine. I have had concerned drug labs want to know why me as a female was menstruating during them, but that's a whole different TMI thing. It's a strange thing. There's got to be a better way. There probably isn't. Actually, pee is less invasive than blood. And I think somebody said that they were required to donate hair samples, which, yes, you can use hair samples to test for certain kinds of drugs, but yeah, anyhow. It's a weird world we live in. A weird world. Yeah, no, onboarding, doing 100% remote onboarding has been interesting. I mean, I got to upload photos of my ID to the company that's taking care of the I-9 stuff. The last two positions that I've had where I was working as a contractor, in one of them I actually met and had a nice lunch and did my I-9 stuff over lunch. The other one, they had me have to have a witness, and your spouse could even be your witness, but at the time Sanford was in Ohio, so a friend of mine and I got together, and he solemnly swore that he saw my identity stuff and it looked good. So this one, though, was just completely 100% take a photo, upload a photo, which was just strange because I will never meet in person any of my employers or my team for that matter. The head of my team is based out of New Jersey, and the team itself is global. We have people in Australia and Singapore and Europe, so it's gonna be interesting. It is gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an adventure. And I'm really going to miss the stuff I've been doing in the lab. Yeah, no, the last two times I've had to go pee in a cup, at least it was a place where they would let you shut the bathroom door. They didn't watch you, but you weren't allowed to shut the bathroom door at a couple of places I've had to go pee in a cup. And yeah, I can do it. I mean, I have had 4 kids. I've done so many urine samples. It's not even funny. I did ask one time and completely disconcerted the drug collectors people of, do you want a clean midstream catch? And they were like, what? I'm like, okay, I guess it doesn't matter. Anyhow, this live stream has just gone right off the rails today. Oh, I have been in labs where there was tape and there were color indicators in the, actually I think the one I was in today, there was a color indicator in the toilet, and you're not supposed to flush. And I actually think I was in one where they took the handle off the toilet so you couldn't flush it. I don't know how they managed that, because you're not allowed to flush. Yeah, Mark, I have heard some stories of stuff that people have done to try and pass. Um, yeah, no. Oh, right? I mean, who wants rails? We just kind of giddy up into the whatever here. Oh. Ooh, yeah, no. I mean, I'm a girl and I can still manage to hit the cup. And I'm always concerned about not putting in enough in the cup, so I always wind up putting in more than they need, but they get to deal with that. So, yeah, so, deadlines, they work really well for kicking writer brain into gear, and life takes some bumpy ups and downs. I mean, I went from really feeling down and really worried that I was not going to be able to find another job. And on the other hand, I'm really worried about abandoning. I'm really worried about abandoning my boss, because if she transitions without a chemist, it's going to make her life difficult in a few months. There'll be a period of time there when I wouldn't be so necessary, but there's definitely going to come a crunchy point when she's going to need a chemist. And if I'm not there, I don't know how she's going to get somebody up and running, because I'll do my best to help with the transition, but if we move out of the city and we're 2 hours away, there's not a heck of a lot I can do. And frankly, my obligation stops when the paycheck does. So that is, I have to be hard and callous, and I have to be practical about this. I've got kids that need art supplies. I have art supplies. I have art supplies on the brain. Although I did get some excellent suggestions on what to do with the cleaver. Ew. Sorry, farm girl. That was just ew. That one gives me all kinds of mental images I did not need. No, the cleaver. I posted about the cleaver, what to do with the cleaver, because I spent probably more money than I should have at the time on this really fantastic cleaver, because y'all were worried about me using that little lightweight that my son had given me. And this thing's a chunk. I am going to be able to cleave some bone for sure with it. I'm looking forward to getting a chicken and doing some spatchcock. That, and we know how to get a whole goat kid now, so that's going to happen. But I was joking about using it as an art tool, and actually, as it is, it'll make, no. As it is, the cleaver will make a fantastic photo prop when I get to the point where I can do food photography anymore. And I am also being told that I could etch art onto it, which is, I think, such a fun idea. So I'm gonna have to look into that. Food photography. This is something that I will probably be able to do again once we move. The kitchen here is, I can actually do, I I can actually do the food videos here because there's a pass-through. So my videographer can stand on one side and film me on the other side doing my thing. But what I like to be able to do, it's too confining a space and I don't have good light. So I have retired Eat This Will You Read That, and I have put doing the I've put doing the cookbook on hold because lack of time. And when we move, those are both back on the table. Because one of the big criteria is going to be having a kitchen that I can work in. And if I'm working from home, this is it frees me up to do a lot of stuff. I mean, I can hop up during the day while I'm working and throw something in the oven or pull something out. And I mean, I don't know yet what the rhythm is going to be. I would imagine I'll need to be at the desk for 8 hours a day, which is fine. But I also think I'll be able to hop up and grab coffee, or on my break take a walk around the block when we get to the point where we live somewhere I feel safe walking around the block, which currently I do not. But it frees me up to be able to do some stuff in and around work. And the cleaver would definitely make a good secondary character in a fantasy novel. And yes, I do plan to etch the cleaver. So it's going to have... using the cleaver as a palette knife. Well, yes, I suppose I could. Palette knives are usually quite a bit smaller than that. Oh yeah, I'm sure I could walk around the block with cleaver, but I think that would attract the wrong kind of attention. Even in a constitutional carry state, yeah, sentient cleaver, I'm going to have to do something with that one. Urban fantasy with the character who's a professional chef and she has a sentient cleaver and... Oh dear. Yes, ward cleaver works because the cleaver wards off bad things. Yeah, no, I really don't need to have that conversation with the friendly neighborhood police officers who I have not yet met and do not desire to meet that way. Yeah, just no. Conversation on Ian and Jim's live stream yesterday. I think it was yesterday, talking about pocket knives. Now, my normal daily carry in my pocket is just a little Swiss Army Victorinox, so little tiny dinky one. And but I have other knives. I have knives in every purse because then I don't have to remember to switch knives from purse to purse. And I've got various belt knives, including a dive knife that I was given years ago and I've never done anything with because I no longer dive. So, and I never did anything other than skin diving. So, it was a nice gift. It's pink. It's a pink dive knife. It's yeah. There are photos somewhere of me for the wedding when we leaped the sword at LibertyCon. I had the belt knife that my dad had given me strapped into my boot, and Oleg Volk took a wonderful picture of petticoat and knife and my boot, and that one's my favorite picture of me, I think, because it kind of sums up how I've always felt about myself, which is I like the frills, but I also like the steel, so Oh, Lord, honey. No, 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 no. Clever cleaver. Oh, ow. I have a neck knife somewhere. I don't wear it very often because it actually shows unless I am um, wearing something with the right kind of neck. And um, it prints under the shirt, so it looks a little odd. So I actually used to wear the neck knife when I was working in the woods because it was easy to um, get that if I was in heavy snow gear. And so the neck knife was more of a garden thing because it was also it's very easy to clean. It's just steel, and it's in a little, oh my gosh, what is the name for those? They're like plastic. It's in a little molded plastic sheath. Yeah, years ago I wrote an article for Sarah Hoyt's blog about the well-armed woman that involved various ways the woman could be armed without being obvious about it. And that's always kind of been my philosophy. Oddly enough, Kydex, thank you, Ted. I could not think of that word for the life of me, and I knew plastic was wrong, but um, oddly enough, the one thing I don't carry on a routine basis, and I know I'm going to get flack for it because I always get flack for it, is I don't actually carry a handgun regularly. I have not had enough practice with a handgun to be as comfortable as I am with um, a rifle. And even a rifle at this point, I'm painfully rusty on. So it's going to be, I need to get some good time in. And I'm laughing here because I missed a word and there's like 5 comments in a row giving me the word. Thank y'all. Thank you. Oh, it's one of those days where I'm like, doohickeys, thingamabobs. What's it? Look, my brain was stuck in the 1960s on Malta with a chemistry student who has stolen the wrong book, okay? No, I need to get some actual, like, skilled instruction. Sanford has decided that he's too rusty to give me instruction on handguns. And Sanford and I both, so Sanford and I both know that Johann needs instruction with guns, so he needs to spend some one-on-one time with someone that's a lot more comfortable than we are. And so, yeah, there's going to be range time after we move. This is one of the reasons that we were trying to find someplace with property, which doesn't look like it's going to happen. And it's also one of the reasons that we were moving up closer to, yes, Law Dog, among others. So we'd have some friends who are comfortable with instruction and could get all 3 of us back up and running. So yeah, it'll work in the long run. It's going to take us a while to find the right house. It's a matter of conflicting priorities because on the one hand, we need a house that's big enough to be 3 bedrooms so that I can have an office or a she shed in the backyard, which we looked at a house like that today. And we need to actually have kind of a decent yard, but that's the trade-off, is we can either have a place that has land or we can have a nice place. And it doesn't seem like finding both at the same time is possible. So we're going to have to just be patient at this point. Although, to be honest, with the guy that was playing games with us, that house has been on the market for 3 months. If it's still on the market in another month, I may go back to him with a lowball offer because I know what he wants for hoops and I'm willing to jump through them if I can knock $10,000 off the purchase price, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done on that place. A lot of work. And I think he's going to have trouble selling it, especially if he's like this with all of his buyers. I mean, there's also the possibility that he just didn't want to sell it to a veteran, because that was the big thing he was kicking at, was the veteran's loan. So, eh. Um, Not necessarily, love. That's something I'm going to be sitting down and talking to the banker about this coming week. The new job changes the parameters. So we will be a little better armed in a bidding war. Right, exactly, Dawn. Using and teaching handguns are two completely different things, and I am fine with Sanford not wanting to teach me, or for that matter, the boy. Um, and there's reasons that spouses don't necessarily teach other spouses really well, and the same goes for parents teaching children. They'll tend to listen better and work better with someone else. I mean, Johan right now has a tutor, and he's been doing better with her than he has with me, although we're still having some issues. But Johan, if you're still watching this, kiddo, you owe somebody an essay. Mark, it was good to see you. Thanks for coming. Catch up with you again later. Driving, well, unfortunately with the teaching him how to drive, we have to teach him, so we need to just start getting his butt in the driver's seat whenever we're going somewhere, and get him worked up in the next few weeks to start driving on the interstate, because as long as we're here in the city, he's going to have to know how to do that. Yeah, drill instructor is a whole different thing, Koala. I can't say I have experience at that. I did some drill instruction as a Civil Air Patrol cadet, which is not the same thing, and I realize that. But I have been involved in leadership programs since I was 11. And I am aware of what my shortcomings are and my strengths, and I'm also aware that some people do it better than other people. And that's just the way it is. Well, we don't have to rush into it, Sanford. We're also going to have to start doing some night driving eventually. But I think he only has to have 10 hours of night driving. I would rather give him more instructional hours than he needs before he gets his license and starts solo. Because, yeah, that one's just scary. That one's just... I think he'll be okay. His sisters gave me a few gray hairs, but I think the kid will be okay. So he's getting over having a nasty cold, and he's back at work today. And he'll be working all this weekend, which means that Sanford and I are going to boogie away, and actually we've been invited to go up and hang out for the night with friends, and we're going to hang in their guest room and abandon the kid for the entire weekend and chill. It'll be really nice. So I may be out of pocket from midday Saturday onward. No, good Lord, no. No more than I'd drive 9 hours just for you to give him lessons, although that's a heck of a driving trip for him to get experience on. Is, here you go, kid, we're going to drive for a long time. Actually, I think he's not allowed to drive more than 2 hours at a stretch during this driving instructional period, which frankly is a good idea, because 2 hours at a stretch is a lot for a grown-up, let alone a teenager. Although my dad swears by his method of being taught how to drive was driving cross-country as they were moving from, I want to say they were in Indiana, and they were stationed in Hawaii. And obviously it didn't drive that whole way, but they did drive from Indiana to California and put their worldly goods on a boat to go to Hawaii. And I think they flew. I I don't know. It's been a long time. But anyhow, Dad talks about learning how to drive to do that. But if I go back and do the math, Dad was 14. He was really probably not supposed to be behind the wheel, but his mom doesn't drive or didn't drive. And so I guess it was just him and his dad. I don't know where his older brother was during this. So oh Lord. Lord, no. No, I don't want to do that one. Yeah, between work and stress and the trees having sex in my sinuses, which, that was funny, by the way. I put up, he was 16? I thought he was in high school. He wasn't in high school yet. Anyhow, I did the math wrong. I put up teasers. I always put up teasers, or I try to always put up teasers for the live stream, and talking about trees having sex, and everyone accurately guessed that I had meant that I was having allergies, which is true, because something is blooming, probably cedars. I am probably allergic to myself. It's funny because I came down here and my friend Dorothy Grant was like, you'll probably have 2 or 3 years before your allergies adjust to the new area and the allergies kick in. No. What neither of us had thought through during that conversation was I spent a good chunk of my childhood living in the West. I have been exposed to everything, and my body doesn't like it. So the last 3 days I have had a sinus headache, and last year, I think, maybe 2 years ago, I was having massive allergy issues, and the doctor recommended doing a double whammy, Allegra in the morning, Flonase in the evening. So when it gets bad, that's the system I'm going to switch over to, and I'm about there. Tonight I will hit my Flonase, hit the Allegra in the morning, and hopefully that'll dial the headache back to a dull roar, because my sinuses, you might even be able to hear it in my voice. It's been a good couple of days, but that's sheer emotional euphoria, not the way my body feels. Because trees, man, trees are indiscreet. Trees just throw it everywhere. Yeah, I probably need to get a neti pot again. I used to use them extensively. So for 15 years, I lived with rabbits in the office with me while I ran a business from said office. So I was in the office for 10, 12 hours a day. I am very allergic to rabbit dander. So is at least one of my children. All right, now I'm going to have to look up what a navage is and figure that out. I had so many allergy problems. I had multiple bouts of pneumonia. I had sinus infections that you wouldn't believe. And the neti pot was fantastic in helping keep me alive during that period. Yeah, the drowning pot, that is exactly what that is. And if you have to, it has to be saline water, and it should be distilled water. Otherwise, you leave yourself open to potential bacterial or microbial contamination. Oh, okay, like baby snot suckers. Alrighty then. I'm not sure I want to use one of those either, but...
Well, at least they aren't telling you to use a water pick in your sinuses. I know I have a cousin that does that.
I had a friend tell me how to do it while you were standing in the shower, that if you tilt your head back at the right angle, let the shower hit you in the face and plug the other nostril, it'll work. And I was like, man, I would drown. The neti pot, I could control the flow. But I'm not doing it like that in the shower. Because, yes, I would drown. Oh. So, yeah, I'm probably allergic to mountain cedar because it seems like almost everybody is allergic to mountain cedar. And I may be allergic to other things. I have definitely got a mold slash dust allergy that triggers off if I'm doing deep house cleaning. And as Mom, what the heck were you doing with chicken broth? You're not supposed to inhale it. One of the great tragedies of my life is that I have discovered that if I handle my books a lot, so say I'm doing some massive library organization or moving things around, I will have a nasty allergy attack. There's a couple of ways that I've discovered to head that off at the pass. And one of them's actually a N99 mask, which is not the same thing that they were making you wear for COVID. It has a charcoal filter and exhalation flutter valves, so it catches dust and volatile gases. So it's actually really handy to use for deep cleaning. And the other thing that I've learned to do is take a prophylactic antihistamine before I start cleaning, and that tends to help me. I've also learned that if I've been exposed to an allergen externally, to shower as quickly as I can, because otherwise it gets trapped against my scalp by my hair and I wind up scratching my scalp to shreds, which is no fun. But yeah, I mean, my skin is freaking delicate, which drives me crazy. And I kind of have learned to anticipate the allergies and eliminate sources of irritation as quickly as I can. Farm Girl, I am definitely going to have to look into that. That sounds better. So, yeah, no, hantavirus is definitely a thing. Histoplasmosis was a thing in Ohio. The Ohio River Valley actually has its very own fungal lung disease that occurs nowhere else in the world. So I was acutely aware of the potential for some pretty bad reactions in Ohio. And I had allergies in Ohio, but it generally wasn't that awful. And even here, we'll see. I mean, the last few days have been kind of miserable, but we'll see how long this lasts. So it might not be that bad. And it might last a few months. I don't know yet. I'm still learning how I react to Texas. I do know that I'm excited about this next chapter. Working from home gives us so much freedom, and I'm really excited about that. And we will keep looking for a house. I mean, koala. Yeah, that I can definitely see why that would be an issue. That's awful, and that would be the worst thing for me. I mean, yeah, I don't need a CPAP, but I can see how that would help Ben. My dad has got one that he desperately needs, and it works well for him. But both Sanford and I have managed to not have to deal with that. Anyhow, y'all, it's been a good hour, and I have got a story to finish for someone that's actually in the chat, so I better go do it. But the story was flowing before the chat, and I think I'll be able to get right back into it. And that's the thing about being an adrenaline junkie. Deadline! Woohoo! My brain. Oh, God. It'll be the death of me yet. But that's why I call this the writer's mind, because you never know what's going to fall out of the writer's mind. So I will see you all next week, and hopefully there will be no more dramatic news. Hopefully. No promises. My life has too much drama in it right from now for me to promise that. See you later, folks. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you on the flip side.